In Pit Lane is brought to you by Nick Star Racing. Support Nick Shembry in his campaign to the 2019 British Supercar Grand Prix. Be a part of the future. And with thanks to the following show supporters. Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of In Pit Lane. This is our final edition of the program on Channel 31 for a couple of months. We're going on our winter break, our annual hibernation, as we sail off into the sunset for a time in Europe or vacationing in the Caribbean, or no, we're not. We're going to be out hunting for sponsors and looking for jobs. Yes, now coming up on the program this week, a little bit later on, as per usual, we've got some live music. Chris Alcoma will be joining us a little bit later on in the show, play a song for us to take us out here on 31. And also, as you might have seen at the opening, joining me alongside me once again is Doc, Craig Latigo. And what we're going to do tonight is we're just going to shoot the breeze sort of thing. And if you'd like to join us, if you're watching us live on either Facebook or the In Pit Lane YouTube channel, we'd love you to join us. Doc is monitoring the chat on both the YouTube channel and Facebook. So if you'd like to make any contribution, like to ask us any questions about the current state of Australian motorsport, please feel free to do that. But speaking of the state of motorsport, it was a big weekend internationally, some of the biggest races in the world, and let's check them out. This is the In Pit Lane Motorsport News.
And a moment of harmony for those who have given their lives unselfishly to defend our freedom.
Simon Pagenaud has continued his incredible month of May with a victory in America's greatest race, the Indianapolis 500. Fresh from his victory on the Indianapolis road course earlier this month, Pagenaud came from behind to take a narrow win over American driver Alexander Rossi. Rossi had looked set for victory late in the race when Pagenaud was forced to save fuel. However, a late race crash involving Sebastien Bourdais and Graham Rahal allowed the Frenchman to dial up the power of his Chevy engine, allowing him to pass the Honda-powered car of Rossi and hang on to take the win and once again deny American fans a hometown victory.
It's hard to believe right now, to be honest with you. It's been such an intense race. I believe we led most of the race, so the car was just on rail. The yellows came out perfectly. Stars are aligned, so man, wow, I'm seeing myself on TV with this. It's pretty amazing. So, dude, it's a dream come true, a life of trying to achieve this. So I'm just speechless. It's just incredible. I never expected it to be in this position, but I certainly was trying to make it as hard as I could. So I want to thank the fans. The fans are amazing, and it was awesome to share that with you guys on the yard of break. Thank you so much. You're the best, Indianapolis.
Defending Indy 500 champion, Australia's Will Power finished fifth in the race, coming back through the field after an incident involving one of his crew members. Race control deemed Power guilty of hitting personnel during a pit stop and ordered him to the back of the field for the lap 79 restart. Power was livid after the race and called the decision a disgrace. Melbourne driver James Davison was running comfortably in the top 10 until he too had problems in pit lane after he was knocked into a spin by Elio Castro-Neves. Castro-Neves received a drive-through penalty for the incident, but Davison lost touch with the leaders as a result and eventually finished back in 12th position. Another all-the-way win to Lewis Hamilton, another victory to Mercedes. It sounded like another boring Formula One race. But no, The 2019 Monaco Grand Prix was actually pretty damn entertaining. Hamilton drove a brilliant defensive race to keep a hard-charging Max Verstappen at bay to give the British driver his 4th win of the season. He crossed the line less than a second ahead of Verstappen, but the Dutchman was relegated to 4th place after a 5-second penalty for an unsafe pit release involving the car of Valtteri Bottas. This allowed Sebastian Vettel to salvage some pride for Ferrari after a woeful weekend for the team, and particularly hometown hero Charles Leclerc. The Monegasque driver started the race way back in 15th position before a sterling drive back through the field. But when he tangled with the Renault of Nico Hülkenberg, he picked up a right rear puncher that put him out of the race. Remarkably, he was the only non-finisher. Daniel Ricciardo made a great start and was in contention for a strong finish, running in the top 5 early. But a gamble on an early pit stop by his Renault team cost the Australian any chance at all to challenge for the podium. He recovered to finish in 10th place to take the final point, but the Western Australian was far from happy after the race, following yet another rookie mistake from the team strategists. It was a big day for Lexus at Honda's home ground of Suzuka in Japan, as the team of Yuhei Sekiguchi and Kazuki Nakajima secured a comfortable 8-second victory over their Lexus teammates Nick Cassidy and Ryo Hirakawa in the latest round of the Super GT Championship. Kazuya Oshima and Kenta Yamashita were third, making it a Lexus 1-2-3. Championship leader Ronnie Quintarelli in his Nissan GTR suffered a left front puncher and went straight off into the barriers at the high-speed 130R corner. Quintarelli was uninjured, but he and Tetsugo Matsuda failed to finish and now dropped back to 2nd place in the championship standings. Defending champions Naoki Yamamoto and Jenson Button also had a race to forget after Button made contact with a slower GT300 car, causing a puncture and dropping them out of the points. The Lexus domination continued in GT300 with the GT3 of Mori Onita and Sena Sakaguchi taking the win. Meanwhile, in a mythical kingdom far beyond the reach of conventional wisdom, the Mustang-like car of Scott McLaughlin drove to 2 wins in the 2019 Australian Supercar Championships at Winton Motor Raceway in northeast Victoria. Saturday's first race saw Chaz Mostert finish second to the Kiwi driver ahead of David Reynolds. While on Sunday, it was McLaughlin's Penske DJR teammate Fabian Coulthard who took second ahead of Jamie Whincup. The next round of the series will be the popular Darwin round at Hidden Valley in 3 weeks' time, where it's guaranteed to be considerably warmer. Yes, you're watching In Pit Lane. This is our final show for this particular season on Channel 31. We're going to take a break from Channel 31 now, but when we come back, we're going to catch up on all the news that's been happening around the world of motorsport. We're going to have a few discussions on the future of things like supercars and TCR. Where does that fit into the scheme of things? About the promotion of grassroots motorsport and all manner of wonderful things. We might even try and predict who's going to win the Cricket World Cup. That's when In Pit Lane returns right after this break. Don't go away. Okay, for those of you watching at home and those of you on the, I know the second, yep, we're just a bit of premature musical action just then. Chris Alcombe will be joining us in the second break for all of you watching on YouTube and Facebook. Just to let you know that this is, as I said, the last program of the Channel 31 season. That was always meant to be. We are going to be coming back, hopefully, keep fingers crossed, in September. That's sort of the plan, as we do every year, because it's basically over sort of June, July, August. There's really not a lot happening locally in the world of motorsport. So so we will be back then, but that doesn't mean we're going away completely. If you continue to watch particularly on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel, we're going to be having some live streaming. We're going to have some regular stuff, and a lot of it in this time slot as well. We're just got to take a couple of weeks off.
So we're not hibernating?
We're not hibernating completely.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, some gear has been ordered, some stuff so that we can continue to do stuff and we can continue to chat with you at home and promote sort of grassroots motorsport, which is what we're all on about here on the program. So I'm getting that. Why am I getting that, Peter?
No, I think it's me. I was going to say. So we've got a question from Dazza MC.
Well, we'll wait until we come back for the show itself.
So, while we can have a chat off. Well, for the people that are watching on YouTube and Facebook, thank you very much for tuning in, etc. It's going to say the numbers have been declining for years. It doesn't matter where you look at it, from international, Australian and local grassroots. There's a definite problem in motorsport across the board. It's not just segregated to one group at the moment. So, you know, and there must be different variables across the board, whether it be international or something like that. They need to start looking at these things because it's becoming a declining sport, unfortunately, Brett.
Yeah, I think it is, and we'll get onto that sort of when our 31 viewers come back. But yeah, I think it's something that we need to talk about, and people need to be honest about it too. Because right now, I think part of the problem is there's a lot of people out there who won't accept that there is a problem, and they live in sort of the reality distortion bubble. But anyway, one thing that
some hard decisions need to be made by some governing bodies, don't they?
One thing that's coming up, I believe it's this weekend, is our friend that you interviewed a couple of weeks ago when I took a break, Nick Shembry.
Oh, yeah.
He's racing at the British Superkart Grand Prix. He's over there. I think they've left now. Look,
Donington?
and I'm sure if you got in touch with them through Facebook, there's probably still time to get a sticker on somewhere. But we're waiting also to see if there was any live stream. At this stage, I don't believe there is a live stream, unfortunately, of the Superkart Grand Prix. It's probably not too late, British Superkart Grand Prix, if you're watching, to get in pit lane over there, and we can live stream it for you. We've got nothing better to do after tonight. We can fly over quickly to Donington.
Well,
you're off for the weekend.
I am off for the weekend. Well, just a quick question we've got on that is actually pertinent. You mentioned at the end, no. When are we coming back? They want to know.
September.
There you go.
September.
Quick questions come through.
Okay, we're coming there. We're getting. 8 minutes 15. 8 minutes 15 exactly. Peter's given us 8 minutes 15. And we have 15 seconds to go down. So Peter's counting us down.
7, 6, 5, coming on 3.
Welcome back to In Pit Lane here on Channel 31, Melbourne and Geelong. It's our final show of this particular season. For those of you who are asking, we will be back in September, we hope, but we do need sponsorship, of course, to make that happen. As with RMI-TV is a not-for-profit organisation. It is nobody gets paid to do this, but there are considerable costs involved, and basically we just can't afford to pull this sort of money out of our pocket. We do need some assistance, and we must say thank you to our current sponsors and supporters who are helping to make this, who made this season possible. But we do very much need sponsors to come back in September. So if you're a company involved in motorsport or involved in anything to do with motor racing in the Melbourne and Geelong area, just contact us here at In Pit Lane at advertise@inpitlane.com, and hopefully we'll be back in September. But also, as I said, I said earlier to our people watching at home, the Channel 31 program is taking a break, but there will be things happening on the YouTube channel and on Facebook over the next couple of months. Now, as I said before, Doc Latigo is here with us, and we're just going to sort of have a bit of a chat. And I understand we do have some questions coming in. So, Doc, you want to fire off what some of the people have said already?
Yeah, thanks, Brett. A big thank you to Dazza from Dazza MC on YouTube watching at present time.
Daryl.
Yep, Daz. Hello to all our live stream watchers, etc. Out there. We appreciate this. Dazza wants to know, is promoting motorsport too hard, as was seen in TCR? So there's obviously a deficiency there. If you let the public know, they might turn up. So obviously, maybe they could look at other avenues of maybe broadcasting on how they're going to promote these races.
It's funny that you would mention that, because one of the reasons we're doing this tonight is what we had planned originally for tonight's show, and I think I might have even mentioned it last week on the program, is we were trying to set up a Skype interview with Matt Braid from the Racers Group, and I contacted them and tried to set up the interview, and they said, we'll get back to you. And I've left messages, a couple of messages saying we need to make this happen. Nobody got back to me last week. We can't spend the whole week
concentrating on one particular avenue, can we?
Yeah. So I think this is part of the problem. I mean, we've got a meeting coming up at Phillip Island in a couple of weeks, and whether it's the Shannon's Nationals, whether it's Supercars, whether it's the Victorian State Series, you've got to have a marketing plan. I'd like to know what the hell is the marketing plan in terms of, like 6 weeks out, 3 weeks out, etc., 1 week out. What's your marketing plan? At the moment, there doesn't seem to be one, because even at the V8 level, we had the V8 supercars running around at Winton on the weekend.
Dare I say a bit of too many Chiefs and I love Indians as well, though, too, and some of those particular marketing plans as well, too.
There is just also an extraordinary amount of arrogance floating around in there. I mean, we have found, we might be only on Channel 31, but we know from when we had the ratings that we have very, very good figures. We are a prime time,
excellent
free to air,
and increasing.
No, they're not increasing.
No,
Nothing's increasing.
I saw
The live stream.
The live streams are increasing markedly lately.
But the fact is, I mean, this is primetime free-to-air television that the sport has got access to, and they just refuse to take advantage of it. I mean, like last week on the weekend we had the supercars at Winton, a Victorian round. There was no way we could get I don't even try getting supercars. And then you get people like, and Betty, I love Betty Clemenko. She's a lovely person. She's a great character for the sport. But the bottom line, she's always saying, the media don't take any notice of motorsport. Why don't they take any? The media don't take, what do you do to get the media involved? I mean, what do you send out? I've had no publicity from them in advance. No media releases
exactly like that. No invitations to be to.
No sort of we're racing at Winton next week. We're racing at Phillip Island in 2 weeks' time. Would you like insert driver name here to be on the show? And because you've got a background in football.
And radio exactly as well though too. And promotion is one of the biggest tools. And as you're saying, the opportunity to provide promotion for any outlet whatsoever, you think they'd be going hand over fist to try and get it out there to get it to everyone, don't you? So it bewilders me totally, Brett. I've been getting phone calls today for promotion for different events and community events, and it's like they are going out there and they're trying their hardest and involving everyone across the whole spectrum they can think of.
And that's what you've got to do.
That includes not just media. It could be city councils, it could be family groups, it could be community groups, it could be just the general population, and get it out there and learn from it as well too. I think they're getting a little bit more narrow-minded and got the blinkers on and they need to broaden their horizons a little bit when it comes to any level, not just local as well though too. There's a lot of, I was going to say Australian sporting things, but they could really take a leaf out of some of what the other sports are doing across the spectrum as well though too. We were talking, as you just said, you've got AFL, VFL, and they go out of their way to make you feel at home and be part of the action. We
do a number of AFL and related programs here on Channel 31. In the past, I've had some involvement with some of them on the fringes to help them out. And the difference between the sort of support and the sort of assistance and encouragement they get from the AFL, which is the biggest sporting organisation in the country by far, compared with what happens with our program. 20 years, and it's like, oh, you guys, what, you're still here.
Can I just say, as you said, the biggest sporting organisation, that's billions of dollars, absolute billions of dollars that they're throwing out there, yet they're going out of their way to make us and involve us. I mean, every year when it comes to broadcasting, which I've been a part of for many years before in Pit Lane, as far as that sporting code, they're going out of their way each year to involve you even more and make the experience that they can provide to each and every person that's participant, family, events, etc. They're going their hardest all the time. So it's as I said, bewildering. I'm flabbergasted sometimes. I'll give you an example. There's a cricket big bash league that goes on over summer these days. Have a look at what they've done from their infancy 6-7 seasons ago, where they came from nowhere and no one was watching or no one was listening, yet they throw it out there to free to air. And look how much that has grown, and they can't fit people in as an audience sometimes, live or on TV, as much anymore, Brett. And that's something that we've seen in the last couple of weeks. Both Tony Cochran, who was in charge of V8 Supercars in the past, and is very much a man with a background in the entertainment business, in show business, as such. He understands that he's called for the supercars to get back onto free-to-air as a matter of priority. Now we've got Formula One teams. I said at Monaco on the weekend that it's suboptimal that we are now increasingly only available to those people who have pay TV, because it's not reaching across everybody. Okay, if you want a little bit extra, you can pay a little bit extra, but quite frankly, I really don't. I don't have pay TV. I don't need pay TV. I don't want pay TV. You're too busy filming and producing the show that we're sitting in right now.
And there's so much stuff online. I mean, we had on the weekend, we had Santa Pod, drag racing from England. this is on the In Pit Lane website. Santa Pod. We had Super GT from Suzuka, which you saw earlier. There was German GT. There was a whole bunch of things happening.
Quick question. Bernie Eccleston basically got thrown out the door a couple of years ago. Do you think Liberty Entertainment's doing a better job than what they do at an international level?
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt.
Is it more involved?
Well, they are embracing things like live streaming, new technology. The current their YouTube channel, if you're not watching it, the Formula One YouTube channel, and particularly their Pit Pass thing with Will Buxton, is very much worth watching. Hey, listen, we've got to take a break. We've got to take a break. No, we really do have to move on.
Yep.
We're going to take a break on Channel 31. When we come back, we're going to have some live music from Chris Alcoma, and we're going to wrap up the year already. But we'll be back in just a moment. This is In Pit Lane. We'll be right back. Okay, so for all of you watching at home, we'll get to a few of those now. For all of you watching at home, we will get to a couple of questions, and then we'll cross over to Chris, and we'll get some music from Chris as well.
Thanks Fremantle for throwing us another one, a bit of a curveball. The cost of grassroots racing entries and garages, he has highlighted explicitly, is becoming prohibitive for many. Tracks obviously have to make ends meet, but how can you make ends meet at state level racing and make it remain affordable to the majority? So obviously the entry level that Fremantle is saying is becoming more and more difficult, and the boundaries getting further and further away.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a problem, particularly in Victoria, with the situation out at Sandown. At some stage, Sandown is going to close. Calder Park is basically off limits now, so it's basically going to leave sort of Winton and Phillip Island. Now, Phillip Island costs an absolute fortune, and as Andrew Fox said himself to us many, many years ago when they took over, they don't do any special sort of deals for just because you're a club there. This is how much it costs. It doesn't matter whether
you're running MotoGP,
whatever,
or you're running a 2-litre sports sedan.
They have a rate card, and depending on what you buy. So look, it's not cheap to race at Phillip Island, and if that turns out to be the only thing we've got in the long term, that's going. Now, hopefully, this thing at Pakenham will be built eventually. But yeah, I mean, that's a long way off. So,
well, exactly. Yeah. As you said, Sandown's is a ticking time bomb, especially when the VRC have just invested even more money into Caulfield and the upgrading, and spending millions of dollars of that. So they're not throwing a brass penny at Sandown whatsoever. No. They're just letting it decline, and hopefully that'll actually give it its own.
Yeah, there's no point in them making any of the sort of major improvements that they need to make to that track to bring it up to the full FIA sort of level, at least level 2 or level 3 specifications. They don't have the space for a start. And what's the point if it's going to be sold off for housing in another 2 or 3 years? So. But anyway, that's. Do we have any more?
No, that's just some thanks, guys, and some really good hellos, and I appreciate you at the show. It's great. Hope you're coming back.
Chris, how are you? Chris Ritchie was one of the people who's contacted us.
Absolutely.
How are you, Chris? Hope we catch up with you soon.
And people saying they love the show and they're looking forward to seeing us next season. And thanks for making the audience a part of it as well too for this evening.
If you're watching us, we want to be able to do more of this. That's what we're doing now. What I've done today is I've got some equipment. I've got some lights coming in. We're going to do sort of the podcast thing.
Exciting.
No point winding me up, Pete, because we don't have a time limit on this. This is a break.
we're excited about the.
One thing we will do though is we will throw to our musical guest tonight, who is Chris Alcoma, and Chris is joining us. He's got a new album coming out called "Do You Have a Rubber Ducky?" The musical question.
Is that why where the bathtubs comment came from earlier when he was taking photos? There you go.
Oh, I must have missed that.
It did. There
by
you
the
go.
way, Chris is performing this Friday night at the Lantern Lounge in Collingwood. Well, there's the details there. We'll give you those details when we come back on Channel 31 as well. But right now, as a bonus for everyone watching live on Facebook and the In Pit Lane YouTube channel, this is Chris Alcoma and Ocean.
A photograph, a symbol from the past, a simple reminder of how you make me feel. I've lost touch with the past, I'm halfway through misguided memories, forgot the girl I knew. Now I know now I'm catch me, to hold my hand. And step into the ocean, I'm swept away by my devotion to a girl that doesn't care. And step into the ocean, I'm swept away by my devotion to a girl that doesn't care. Now I can't remember the warmth we used to share. The butterflies I felt have sunk into despair. Now I need a spark to ignite this flame. A simple reminder, this wasn't a game. Now I know now, I'm leaning off in air. There's no one there to catch me, to hold my hand. Step into the ocean, I'm swept away by my devotion to a girl that doesn't care. Step into the ocean, I'm swept away by my devotion to a girl that doesn't care. Step into the ocean, I'm swept away by my devotion to a girl that doesn't care. As I step into the ocean, I'm swept away by my devotion to a girl that doesn't care.
Chris Alcoma and Ocean. I must say that is a very impressive looking guitar you've got there, Chris.
Thank you.
Tell us a bit about that. That is a lovely unit.
Well, it's a Cole Clark made in a factory in Bayswater, actually.
Beautiful Bayswater.
So, local.
Yep, very local.
Each guitar is just absolutely unique and they're incredible to play.
Yeah, it's a beautiful looking, great instrument. Lovely there. I mean, I'm speaking as if I can play. The only thing I can do with it is sort of drum out into a rhythm.
And you do that pretty well. I get the backbeat going here behind me. So, no, congratulations. Nice.
Okay, Chris is going to join us to play us out a little bit later on for our 31 viewers when we come back. Doc, just quickly, we've got...
I've got a heap of questions, so I'll just try and I'll pick one out.
Yep, just grab one
Take
out
a rabbit out of a hat, so to speak. Is there any prospect of Calder ever coming back online to an appropriate circuit racing standard if the cost of developing it for housing is too great? So you've got to weigh up the pendulum.
Interesting you should say. Who's that from? That's from...
a big thank you again from Fremantle as well, too. So I apologise to all the other people. They are coming through thick and fast.
It's interesting because you will remember that at the start of the year we went to the Motorsport fan zone at Crown.
We did Formula One.
One of the people a group of people we spoke to, and this will be going up on the YouTube channel very soon. From there is a supercart, like a drive your own karting the sort of setup.
A very professional experience.
Yeah, actually happening at Calder Park. Now, what's interesting about that is that they've signed a long-term deal. It's not just for it's not just for the rest of this year. So the fact that they've signed a long-term sort of deal would indicate that to me that there are no immediate plans at sort of the Jane Corporation level to get rid of Calder Park.
Exactly.
So I would hope that, that eventually, we know that, I know that Peter in the drag racing area is working really hard to try and get that back, section back in.
In front of the track and behind the scenes as well too. He's making it his mission in life to be able to keep producing and keep upgrading.
But hopefully, but it's going to be a long time before, it's certainly not going to happen in the next 12 months.
Unfortunately, it's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that if enough people get onto it, see, this is what the difference once again between Australia and New Zealand, where this sort of thing happened in New Zealand. All of the competitors and everyone got together and said, "Look, the government aren't going to give us a handout. Nobody's going to build us a racetrack, guys. We've just got to get together and build this bloody thing ourselves." And they went out and they built Hampton Downs, which is a standard that, apart from the Bend. And the Bend was something that somebody built themselves. They didn't get government handouts for that. So, the community's just got to come together. Everybody's just got to come together and say, look, if we want somewhere to race, we're just going to have to buy the land. We just have to build it ourselves.
And also, leave the past in the past. People have had differences over left, right and centre in all forms of motorsport there. Unless they all get together and build it together and have a vision together.
Yeah, stop arguing amongst themselves.
Stop arguing amongst themselves. And that's also, it could be government entities as well, though, bodies, etc. like that, and also personalities. And this motorsport in general as well, though, too. Have some coherent vision together and some positive,
I think that was one of the things, if you remember the Motivate Melbourne thing about the drag racing, we got feedback direct from a senior government minister at the time in the previous Labor government, who came to us and said, sort of off the record, for God's sake, can you people just come up with one cohesive plan with a properly costed business plan that covers everything, because right now we talk to one group and they tell us one thing, and the drag racing people come in and want something else, and then Speedway comes in, and then AASA comes in, and CAMS comes in, and all these people come in. Just give us one.
It cuts the red tape and the delays, and eventually everyone will be happier in the near future instead of actually stringing it out. A bit like I suppose I could say, the very fast train project that's been taken years to come, that's been promised.
Oh, well, that's never going to be.
There you go. Come from Brett Ramsey. He put it in technical terms. I'll just say, get your act together.
Yeah, just get
your act together. Thanks to everyone. There's probably 3 or 4 more.
Okay, what we're going to do is we better head back to Channel 31 now. But thanks to everybody who's contributing at the moment. We're going to come into the final segment. We're going to go to our friends at the Motoring Diary. We'll tell you what's happening this weekend, and then we'll come back to wrap up this season, and also to hear another song from Chris Alcoma. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Motoring Diary coming soon.
I was going to say. The shout out.
Brought to you by the Motoring Diary, your must-have guide for all motoring enthusiasts. So, do you want to find out what's on this week in local motorsport? Well, you can head up the Hume for the Alpha Club's Alfa Romeo Sprint Series. There probably won't be an XDTM Alfa Romeo 155 there, but there will be an awful lot of other Alphas and the people who love them. If you love Alphas too, then my friend, you are not alone. Misunderstood, a little confused, but not alone. Or you can head up to Swan Hill for the Victorian Club Autocross Series. It's out at the Swan Hill Dragway, Sea Lake Swan Hill Road in Swan Hill. Or a little closer to Melbourne, not much, but a little, you could try the Bendigo Car Club's Autocross and Carnacross at the Bagshot Motorsport Complex on Bagshot Wirrikee Street, Bagshot North. Motorcarnas are affordable, fun and a brilliant way to train young drivers in car control and to learn responsible road use. TAC Big Pole, take note idiots. For more info, why not contact your local car club, if you can manage to find one on the CAMS website. Yes, and good luck with that. Now we're just about to wrap up. We're taking this out a little bit later at the end of the program. Will be Chris Alcoma. Doc, just quickly, let's shout out to some of the people who are watching the live stream now, and a couple of quick questions before we wrap up for the year.
Yeah, well, one question I was going to say, and a great season it's been. Can't wait for the next one. You did touch on Pakenham just briefly before here. They want to know what's the real chance of Pakenham going ahead. And is it very close to residential areas? Will they be able to make it sustainable out there?
Yeah, it is very close. It's worryingly close. For me, it's worryingly close to residential areas.
Growth out there is incredible.
Look,
at the moment.
I was there at the weekend, as you know, popped out for that swap meet up there. And
You
I
did
been,
go?
Yeah, and I haven't been out to that way for. I was stunned at what was out there. I mean, it was like driving through sort of South London or something.
There's picket fences everywhere.
You know, it's not just it's like all of these, you know, it's the little boxes made of ticky tacky.
Getting off the subject, they're going to fit an airport in there out there as well, though, too.
Well, yeah, I don't know where they're going to get all this space from. I think that's one of the other problems too. Is that the land they've got on McGregor's Road? It's quite long, but it's very thin, and it's going to be yeah, it looks like it's going to be a very tight squeeze in there. I don't know. They seem to be very good, but they've been talking about this. We spoke about this with not Drew Price, but it might have been Drew Price, but it's many years ago about this. So this has been around for well over a decade now, and we're a little closer, but we're not that much closer.
Let's put that question into a bigger picture then. Do you think another racetrack, if Sandown wasn't in existence and we were to lose it, unfortunately, to obviously residential, because that's where they're going to make their money out of it instead, and they'll wipe it off the planet. Do you think Melbourne or Victoria can sustain another racetrack in a professional nature?
Oh, I can certainly stay. I mean, if you have a look now, I mean, all the racetracks we've got are pretty much booked solid. I mean, Sandown's heavily booked, Winton is booked, even Calder is still, for what they do with it, is still fairly heavily booked. But
so the demand is there.
Yeah,
still.
The demand is certainly, there's no doubt about it, the demand is there. And for a small, you know, sort of regional area somewhere reasonably close to Melbourne, what it brings in terms of tourism is just remarkable. But look, we've run right out of time. I'm getting the wind up from Pete already, and we've got to get some music out. Doc, thanks for your contribution, particularly over the last few weeks. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, and also a big thanks to the people that support us as well, though.
Yeah,
too,
but thank you very much to all of our sponsors, to all of the people, to the wonderful crew here at RMI TV, the In Pit Lane family. As you would know if you watched over the last few weeks, the past few weeks has been a very, very, very tough time for me from a personal level after the sudden passing of Melissa. And I just want to say once again to everybody who's been just so kind and so helpful in helping us get through this particularly tough time over the past few weeks. Really do appreciate it. I know she would as well. One of the things that we've always done on the program and that we really like to do is, of course, feature local talent, and we must say thank you to our music director in Leanne Campbell, who's been finding us all of these great local singer-songwriters and bands. And tonight's act is Chris Alcoma. Chris is on Facebook, he's on Instagram, you can pick up his music on Spotify. He's playing this Friday, 31st of May, at the Lantern Lounge in the People's Republic of Collingwood, and he has a new album called Do You Have a Rubber Ducky? But that's not what he's singing for, because right now he's going to take us out now with the song Why Can't I? We'll see you in September, Channel 31, and on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel in the next few weeks. Until then, from all of us here, bye for now, and here's Chris Alcoma.
Holding back the river, there's something in the way. Light is shining brightly and landing on my face. No light on the horizon, there's darkness in my path. The world is on my shoulders, was never built to last. Was it worth it to go away? Was it something I didn't say? Did it hurt? Was it worth it to go away? Was it something I didn't say? Did it hurt? I'm building a big wall made from what's in front of me. I can't slow down, I'm running, the feeling in my sleep. I wanna lose control, fall deep into the earth, live into all the memories, and leave them in the dirt. Was it worth it to go away? Was it something I didn't say? Did it hurt? Was it worth it to go away? Was it something I didn't say? Did it hurt? I want it bad for you to stay. 28 years ain't gone to waste. So why can't I cry?